All right, here we are again. Big Brother, season 10, Big Brother Canada, season 10, episode, what am I on? 10, I believe. Yes, it is episode 10. Crazy, crazy stuff happens. First, we got Gino putting on the block Marty, which used to be his best friend, and Jess, who he thinks manipulated situations in a way. And Gino plays the game very smart. He sort of like lets everyone sort of speak to him and influence him in a way that they all feel like they sort of have like some kind of control over him. That way he's good for their game, in their heads at least. He give that impression, so they all feel uniquely like they have some sort of influence over him, so that he can always be a piece that they can use rather than a threat to them. And yeah, that's very tricky and very smart. Yeah, I respect it. I respect it. I would never think of playing the game that way because I'm just not that kind of person. But very well done for Gino, especially after winning that HOH that he did that involved memory. You would think people would, see him more as a threat, but just the fact he's afraid of the dark, for Christ's sakes. Like, he just doesn't intimidate people, and that works to his benefit. So right away, Marty is extremely upset about what Gino said about him betraying him and sort of losing his trust. So Marty was like immediately just like, I'm done with this. I want to get rid of all of them. If I win HOH next week, I'm gonna get rid of Kyle and Gino, and he's like, I'm gonna win this POV and take myself off the block. He was pumping himself up. He was just like very nihilistic immediately. He got into his feelings a little bit. Not many strong people in this season. The moment there's any sort of pressure on them, they immediately sort of crumble to bits. And which is crazy, because as soon as it happens to someone else, they can look at it and analyze it and be like, oh, this is what this person is doing. But as soon as the moment when it comes for them, they just sort of shrivel up, and they just can't handle the pressure, and they're angry, and they're ready to lash out at somebody, and like, this person's a demon all of a sudden, and it's unnecessary. But I guess it adds to the drama of the show. So there it is. It was funny because Jess was part of a conversation with some people. Wait, before that, we're gonna have a little snapshot of this here, where Gino is basically letting Summer influence him a lot. Well, he's not letting her influence him, but feels like she's influencing him and have some sort of sway, because he's speaking with her honestly, and he's building up that rapport and that relationship. And especially now that her ego is on that high, where she really wants to get rid of Kyle for what happened, which doesn't make any sense, because they pretty much derailed Kyle's HOH and they got rid of someone that they wanted to get rid of anyways. So, yeah. But she's still upset with Kyle, and she wants to get rid of him, and he's the worst. And I mean, he is pretty terrible, but not as a person. Just in this game, he's just horrible. But there was a moment where everyone was sitting around and they was talking about, oh, Marty shouldn't be on the block, and Jess was in the room, and she's just looking at them like, what? And they're like, oh, of course you shouldn't be on the block either. It was just like, how does she not see that these people really don't care about her? Well, they Sorry. Apologize, the pronoun stuff. I always lose that war. They are just sitting there and just taking everything in and not realizing that no one really is looking at they as part of their team, but is constantly having conversations with people, and they're revealing how little they care about you, but yet you're not taking that on board. It just, because it gets several times just in the room, people walk in, express a bunch of feelings, and completely disregard that you're there. Just act like you're invisible and just not taking that on. Like, what? Because they had a plan. This is the thing. Summer, Moose, and Tanash, the single mom, wanted to, were thinking of a plan where they can get Kyle on the block. But then they considered that if Marty comes off, that there's a chance that Tinashe, the single mom, might be put up as a replacement. And they were like, if that happened, you know what? No worry about it, because we have the votes. Basically planning to get rid of Jess, which lets you know how little regard they have for Jess in this game. It just never comes up. And then there's this point where Gino and Marty have a conversation, and Marty was talking about how his nomination speech he took it personally, because he said he was a traitor and a backstabber and all this stuff, and Gino was basically explaining it was for the optics. It's for it, he was sort of embellishing it a little bit just to sort of to let people know that if they betray him, that he'll put them up on the block. So sort of like, so people can take him seriously. But Marty was taking it personally, because he's like, you're going up in front of the world, in front of whole canon, in front of my coworkers, and saying these things about me, which is weird. Like, they can see the show and they can see that it's not like a real character assassination sort of thing. It's not really his character, but he still took it personally, like it was hurting his reputation or something, which I don't buy it. It was definitely like an ego thing. At first, he was trying to pretend like he was okay with going up on the block because he made a mistake and it betrayed him. But as soon as he really got up there and he felt the pressure that he might be going home, he buckled under it, and he just came up with a nonsense reason as to why he was upset about what was said, which what was said was pretty much true. He did kind of betray him, knowingly betraying him, and try to toss him under the bus, and didn't even give him a word, and let him in on the plan, because let him in on the plan as to what was going on so that he could make a different move. He was blindsiding him, and he's trying to play it off now like he's the one that's hurt. He's the one that's offended, and he's fighting for his honor. And it's just nonsense, just nonsense, lies. I can't even entertain that as some sort of legitimate gripe that he had. So they pick players for the veto competition. You see the wheels right there. They spinning around to pick players. Oops. Okay, there we go. All right. Marty spins. He gets Summer, and Summer's all pumped like she's going to do something. And of course, we all know she doesn't. She's a non-factor in anything that ever happens. I don't know why she has such a huge ego. And then Jess spins. And I believe Jess picks, Jess got house guest choice, and Jess chose, I can't remember. The single mom. Jess chose the single mom. I'm not sure why, because she wouldn't save Jess at all. I guess you got to do what you do. And Helena was the last person chosen, and that person was chosen by Gino. Helena is also a non-factor. It's basically a competition between Marty and Jess. Those are the only two competent people in that POV, and they're the two that's on the block. The competition happens, everyone, just more pointless drama where people trying to change each other's minds. Competition is basically, show you a little snapshot. All right, you got these packages, and they come down on this conveyor belt in the bottom here. You start out with these, and then you grab new packages as they come down the conveyor belt and add them to your stack that's pressed up against a wall, and you have to keep it pressed there while you add more packages, and whoever does it the longest wins. All right, and they were all going for a while. There was a moment where the single mom, Tanisha, I think that's what it is. She cried because there was a point where there was an optional package with a letter from home on it. And in order to win the POV so that she's not a replacement nominee, she had to let that package go, and she cried. So a letter from a daughter is her best friend, and all this stuff. I don't trust anyone that's like their kids are their best friends. That means you're not really a parent, and you're more projecting your stuff onto your child, and you're sort of living vicariously through them, and it's weird to me. It's probably nothing, but that's always a weird dynamic to me. All right. And in the end, the person that wins, they were struggling for a while there, and then it came down at the end to Jess and Marty. They were truly struggling in this competition, but Marty was steady the whole time. Let me show you. As you can see, Marty was steady the whole time. His packages barely moved. This little smaller one in the middle there can be a little bit trouble, but his first package hasn't even moved. They see that red line over here? It stayed pretty much centered, and it hasn't moved. So he's like right away, I thought he was going to win. So it wasn't a very tense competition. He struggled for a bit, but ultimately he won, got the veto, took himself off the block. Jess cried, and what he did after winning the veto was pretty surprising. He immediately made up with Gino. They squashed everything and tried to work together again, which was a pretty good move for Marty, because although a lot of other people liked him, I don't think they would take him very far in the game. I'm pretty sure they were just hanging on to him because he won at Canada's vote safety. So they're just like trying to ride his coattails for favoritism. to sort of get some kind of Canada's favor by being close to him. Yeah, so they made up, and now they're going to be working together. Summer is still trying to work her magic and still trying to put it in a. Show you a little. There, Summer in the HOH room again. She's trying to work her magic, try to put it in Gino's head that he should put Kyle up on the block, just to disassociate himself from what happened last time, because Kyle messed up so badly. And Gino's like considering it, but he didn't really want to get any blood on his hands. But then Kyle, you can see a little photo of his dumb face. Kyle thought it was a smart idea to go up to the HOH room and talk to Gino. He was going to talk to Gino. He was saying that he was going to lay low, and but he went up there to talk to Gino and tried to convince him to put up Moose as the replacement nominee. The same guy he went after on his HOH, and Gino was just looking at him like, this guy really hasn't learned his lesson. And I'm just like, yeah, he's delusional. He's out of his goddamn mind. He can't read a room to save his life. So he does that, which cements in Gino's head that he really got to get rid of this guy. So he talks to Marty about it, and Marty says, yeah, you should probably put up Kyle on the block. That would be a good move for you. And guess what? He finally break it to Kyle. It was like, your week was terrible. And he was like, wow, that bad? It was like, yeah, man, it was the worst. Your HOH was pretty freaking terrible. Everyone wants to get rid of you. And I kind of have to, I like you as a person, but kind of have to disassociate myself with you in order to save my game. And Kyle was just like, well, if I go up, that's pretty much sending me home. And he's like, yeah, I kind of got to do what I got to do. So in the end, the replacement nominee was Kyle. So we have Kyle on the block and Jess still on the block. And it was a shit show, but oh God, I don't know, man. It's probably best for Kyle to go because he's just messing up. He's messing up his own game and his allies' game, and there's no point in working together with him. I was thinking about a redemption where all three of them could work together. Him, Gino, and Jason Lynn can work together, and they could probably pull something out, and he could redeem himself. But the moves that he made this week, when he didn't have to make any moves and he would have been safe, was just crazy. I don't understand why he's still going after Moose so hard, even on an HOH that is not his own, after his own HOH failed. I don't even know, man. So, I mean, that's that. We're going to see how it's going to go, but it's looking like it's curtains for Kyle. So, brought it on himself. That's how it goes.